we'll start to talk about routes and navigation. So something you need to know that Flutter have two kinds of navigation. The first one is Navigator 1.0, which is the most common one and the most simple one. So first of all, we need to know about what is called navigation stack. So a navigation stack is a you can see of this image. There's a like something like a container. We call this a stack. So this stack we name it as navigation stack. So it contains all the navigation routing. So we can see from first, we have a login screen, we push into a login screen, we push a onboarding screen, and we push another home screen, grocery screen, and the grocery item screen. And when we want to do a back button on your app, like we press on the back button, then we are doing the pop action. So we will pop the top one. So meaning it's the last in and then first out. The last come in and then first go up. So this is how the Navigator 1.0 working is using this stack. So it's just similar like we using in the web browser. We're doing the back. We click on the back on the back on the top left. So the browser can lead you back to the previous screen. So it's the same logic with the navigation stack. So this is how the Navigator 1.0 doing. So the next thing is, how do we perform these operations in Flutter? So for Navigator 1.0, it's pretty simple. We have this piece of code for push. So we look at the code line by line. So first of all, we declare a boolean called result. This result is accepting the what do you call that? The result passed back from the onboarding screen. So you can so if onboarding screen is any variables or any result need to pass back to the previous screen, then this result can accept the result. So this is the boolean, same as the variable you declare. This can be anything. This can be string and string or any number depends on your result. And we have a navigator push by doing the push the route to the stack, and we providing a context and the material page route and also a builder function and also the widget that the screen that we're going to push. So this is kind of a boilerplate for Navigator 1.0, but it's pretty straightforward and easy to understand. And the next thing we learn about how to pop. Pop is even easier. We just do the Navigator pop and passing context. So when you click on, for example, you have a button, and you can put this line of code into the onPress function. So when the user click on the button, can pop to the previous page. So this is just the very short code for the pop. All right. So maybe you wonder why we already have this Navigator 1.0, we still need a Navigator 2.0. So here's the thing. So imagine you are a new developer that just joined your team. Where will they start? So imagine you are in a large project with a huge project that everything just the widget tree is not visualized, right? So I mean everything you need to find the code locally. You need to find, oh, this widget push to this widget and this widget push to this widget. So everything is not visualized. You need to manage and study the code yourself, and sometimes this come very difficult because sometimes your code is not that straightforward. It's not only push, maybe you have multiple popping and multiple pushing, depends on your business logic. So this brings the trouble to Navigator 1.0. Also, Navigator 1.0 comes to one problem is, how should we remove if the navigation stack like this? How should we remove the middle navigation route? So of course we can do some logic on here, like before this onboarding screen pushing to home, we can do some popping and then we push only then we push to home page. But this may actually mess up the structure and brings the logic. This may confuse your teammate because if this is just one route, then maybe fine. But what if this happens to many situations? Then all of this logic may be messed up and may your teammate may feel very confused. So here we come to Navigator 2.0. So the difference between Navigator 1.0 and 2.0 is just Navigator 2.0 not using the navigation stack function. So this is how it works. So imagine when a user taps a button, so there's a handler that will modify the app state and then trigger the listener to tell the app, oh, there is some changes, and the app will actually rebuild the entire route. So that's the difference. Instead of push and pop, now in Navigator 2.0, I'm rebuilding the entire route. So that's the difference. And also Navigator 2.0 is managed by state. So we come to code. Where's my code? Where's my code? Over here. All right. So we are in chapter 7, step 1. All right. So maybe I should run this first. Let's run on Chrome. So in the meanwhile, I will explain this. So we have this app stack manager. It's pretty simple. This page, nothing crazy over here. This I believe is. Let me launch the web first, so we can have better visualize. All right, so here we have multiple tabs. Like we have 4 tabs. So we're giving each tab an index from 0 to 3, meaning the 4 tabs. It's pretty straightforward. And then we have this. We create a class called App Stack Manager. This is created by ourselves, and then from this class we actually extend a change notifier. So something to take note is that this change notifier is actually implementing the listenable class, meaning we are able to call the notify listener. All right, this is pretty important. But something for you to know is just that you need to know this is extending the change notifier class. So here's some logic, some scatter over here, nothing crazy. Just something to know is that we are calling this notify listener in every functions, so that the listener know that we are doing some changes. Nothing crazy over here. We are doing our initial apps, doing some delay over here to mock that actual initialization. So this is just a mocking delay. And also, we are declaring something called App Stack Manager over here. So you can see that this is actually an empty object. So we are declaring over here, and we are used in main.dart. All right. So you can see that we use that App Stack Manager over here. This App Stack Manager doesn't matter you declare it where. The important thing is, as long as it's simple enough for you to call. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for me to place here or I place it here. Also can. Doesn't matter. Just a place for you to call. And I'm calling this over here that app stack manager. So I'm having a change notifier provider that calling the app stack manager, so that we are creating the object over here. We are calling the object that created early over here. And there's one thing that you cannot do things like that, because you need the initialize app over the main class, and your airport app is run after your app stack manager. Meaning, if you do in this way, this app stack manager is a new object, and this is another object, meaning that your state is not linking properly. So that we need to do in this way. So they are using the same object and same instance. Yep, that's for the step 1. Let's go for step 2. In step 2, we have this routes class. Also, yeah, something to mention, I forgot to mention. We are using the Navigator 2.0 for my demo. All right. So it's totally okay if you want to use Navigator 1.0 if you think it's simple, or it's totally up to you. Yeah. All right. So I need to introduce one package here. How do I? All right. So here we are using this package called Go Router. So it's a navigation package that applying Navigator 2.0 that you can use to make your life simple. All right. So we are creating a class called routes. So obviously, this class is storing all the routes that we have. All right. So here are some error, but doesn't matter because we haven't implement these functions yet. So we can see of the code. So we can look on the code. So first of all, we have this static method for the splash screen. So meaning this splash method can be accessed anywhere. All right. So we are calling this go route function that's storing the route. So we are declaring the path here, just a slash splash. This can be anything, just a naming. And then we have this page builder. So page builder comes with this pattern, providing you a context and the go router state. So you can use this context and state that given by the go route, given by the go route. And here we are using this kind of pattern. Here's this splash page dot page, and we're passing the page key from the state. So here is a pattern that we are using. So if you look into the splash page widget, um, just under the constructor, we are declaring a static page method that actually return you a material page that calling a splash page. And the key given by the state, we are just passing into this material page. So nothing crazy, just a pattern that we follow. We follow that using the Go router pattern. And same to the home. So we usually declare home just a single slash, and same to the home page dot page. And we have a route here. So route is actually a sub route of this home. So for the sub route of this home, we have this general route and edit general route. So over here, nothing crazy over here, just the same thing over here. I just want to show you that we have this route for the, we use this route class to centralize all the routes control in this routes dot. All right. And we come to step 3. All right. All right. So at this, now we go to this router dot. In this router, we use this router at main. So at our main dot, we are calling this material app router, and we just passing the go router delegate and router information passing. And nothing crazy here, you just pass in what the router need. Otherwise, it will give you this error. So just passing what this router need. All right. And we come to this Go router, we can see what we actually implemented in this Go router. So this Go router, at first we need to declare, we need to set the initial location. So we just set this routes.splash.path. It's actually equal to this. But then, as we mentioned earlier, we want to centralize control all the routes in routes.dat. So we are following this pattern. So if in the future we want to modify the routes to something else, we can just modify it in this file. So we don't need to go through every file to modify the path. All right. And for the routes, we have for the routes now we have the splash screen and the homepage route. And also one thing is important that there is a refresh listenable variable that we need to pass in. So as you remember that we have this app state manager extending this change notifier, and it implements the listenable. So we need this listenable to pass into refresh listenable. So by passing this in, meaning whenever you notify the listener, meaning telling the router, hey, something is changed, so please review the app. So this is what it does. So this notify listener is basically now is telling the app to rebuild the route. All right, then we have this redirect. This redirect basically telling you which screen to go. So here are some logic over here to telling that if the app is not initialized and it's not on the splash page, then go to the splash page. So this meaning sub location, meaning the current location. So if the current location is not the splash screen, then go to the splash screen. Otherwise, then return now, meaning you are correct. And if you are initialized, you already initialized, then if you're already in the splash screen, then you go to the home screen. Otherwise, nothing to redirect. All right. Also, we have a arrow page builder that can build a page when your routing is error. For example, you route to something that is not declared. For example, some unknown route or any exception happens, then this screen will return. So for now, I just return a splash page, which theoretically you should do a error page appear. But for now, we just return a splash page if any error happens. All right. Yeah, so navigation is there's some navigation over here. So all of these are navigation. So you can see that the navigation is still working. Something to take note is for now you can see the URL is not changing. So because this is the Flutter web, so we can see the URL, but if it's in mobile, this URL is in the background, so nothing will be visible, nothing is visible. So this is something to take note for now. In this chapter, nothing, the routes will not change yet because we haven't gone through the route yet. And this chapter is just about the navigation. All right. Yep, that is for chapter 7. Is there any question? Do I have any
I guess
question?
we have none. You have explained very clearly.
All right. Do we have any questions, or I will proceed with chapter 8? All right, then I will keep proceeding with chapter 8. All right, so in chapter 8, we will teach about deep link. So something you need to know about what is deep link. So if you're not familiar with mobile apps, deep link might sound very strange or sound scary to you. What is deep link? So actually, deep link is a URL that navigates to a specific destination in your mobile app. So for example, when you get a notification from WhatsApp, so someone check you, let's say, and you click on the notifications, it will point you to um, the particular chat of the person instead of just the homepage. So this is what deep link does. So for example, uh, if I copy this link, so now my book is on chapter 7. If I copy this link and paste again, I'm getting the same what you call that, same position of the page. So this is what we call is deep link. All right. So and here's the logic of a deep link. So when you have the app, if the link is clicked and the app is installed, then we direct you to the app content. If otherwise the app is not installed, then we'll direct you to the Play Store or App Store. this is totally depends on how you implement. All right, then we go to code again. Where's my code? All right, let's go to chapter. All right, so for this one, come a little bit scary if you look at the code, but let us step by step. Practice. All right, so we look at the code first, or maybe we can direct look at the result first. So let's do a hot restart. So for now, you can see a splash screen, and now there is some URL difference compared with the chapter 7. So now it's tab 0, and we go to tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. So this is the URL changes. And we go to the add. Here is the URL. And if we copy this and paste, we can actually go to the same page. And if we refresh the page, we are still in the same page. And if we do the refresh in chapter 7, so this is the previous one, so we still have a splash screen, and we come to this page and we do a refresh. So you can see nothing is, the screen is not it's not staying at the same page. It is just refreshed to the home page. So this meaning the deep linking is not implemented. All right. So we back to the chapter 8. All right. So for this chapter, we just look into this router file because we only change some things over this router, and we don't need to focus this file. So you may remember just now this redirect contains a lot of logic over here. But for now, we just simplify to one line. So we have this go route directive. Go route redirector is a class that we created, and we have a getter called instance, and this is the getter. I will explain this later on. And this getter have a redirect function. Go route instance.redirect. So we have a redirect function over here, and we just pass in the state and the app state manager. This state is the go router state, and something over here is the URL path strategy. So there's two URL path strategy. One is the hash method, the other one is the path method. So to make it more like a web, so this is the chapter 7. You can see there's a hashing over here. So this is the hash method. For now, and also by default is a hash method. So now I do a hot restart. So you can see the hash is gone, and it's come to the path method. So this is just something worth to know. It's just for you to consistent your structure. All right, then we come to this. All right, so in this Go router redirector, we have one variable called redirects. This is a list of redirect, and this is just a constructor. So at first we just go to this redirect to see what is this redirect actually is. So this redirect actually is an abstract class with two methods. The first one is the predicate method with boolean return. Both passing state and also the app state manager. So this predicate basically saying if the condition match, then only you return the URL. Otherwise, not returning. All right, this is what this predicate does. And the get new URI is actually how do we say? It's returning you a new UI that we're going to redirect. All right. So this is the redirect class. And for this one, we have a getter called instance with a list of redirects. Sorry, with a list of go route. Sorry, this is a returning a Go router redirector, which contains these redirects. All right. So we have all of this is a redirect. So they come into combine, become a list of redirect. All right. So we talk about this first. We go to this redirect method to see how it actually works. All right. So this control the flow of redirect. All right. So first of all, we get the current location. As I said just now, this is meaning sublocation, meaning the current location. So we get the current location. And for every redirect in the list, we are doing a predicate matching to check if it matches the condition to redirect. If it's matched, then we proceed with flow. Otherwise, nothing return. All right. So if it matched, then we get the URI from the method. And we doing the logic over here. So this meaning you are attempting to redirect to the current string. You are redirect to yourself. So we do want this. So return a null. Otherwise, if everything is okay, then we return the expected URI. All right. So this is how this redirect working. And we come to this. So all right. So we have three classes that extending this redirect. All right. The first one is this uninitialized. So uninitialized meaning we are taking any route to the splash screen. Meaning if I go to this redirect, no matter what route am I right now, I just direct go to this splash screen. All right. So the predicate of this pretty simple. I just get the abstract manager. It's not initialized. If it's not initialized, meaning it matched the condition, then I will go through the redirect function. All right. And we can look at the get new URI function. So if the current location is already the splash screen, then we do nothing. We just return null because it's already expected result. Otherwise, let's say the current location is something else, then we will store the route to the query params called next. All right. So we will still redirect you to the splash screen, and the next screen will be this one, meaning the next route. So this is a class that performing this logic. All right. So every logic is implemented in this get new URI method. All right. So this is for the uninitialized redirect. The next we have this on initialized redirect. So this is how do we say? Okay, so this redirect performing this method, this function called we leave the splash screens once the app is initialized. So meaning from splash screen to uh, to any other screen. So this is what this on initialization redirect does. So the predicate of this is pretty straightforward as well. So as long as it's initialized and the current location is the splash screen, then we can go through the get new URI function. And nothing crazy, we get the next query param from the previous initialized. This one, we get this location from here, and we pass in to the URI, and we're doing some logic over here. Then we can just redirect to the intended path. Of course, we have a tab key over here just to manage the tab. This is just some logic, so it will change depends on how you implement. So every app is different. It totally depends on how you implement this. But here it's just implement this way. Nothing crazy. I think it's just some error handling over here. All right. And we have this last redirect. So what does this does? So this update home tab redirect is actually doing this. So we can see this tab number is changing from 0, 1, 2, and 3. So this actually caused by this redirect. All right. So the predicate of this redirect is we need to ensure this is in the home path and not other path, not in the splash screen or other else. It must be in the home path. Then with this get new URI, so we have this logic over here. So let's see this logic. So if the current selector tab is not equal to the tab that we store in the query param, meaning there is some tab changes, right? So for example, let's say the selected tab is 0 and the query param is now 1, meaning some changes, right? Then we're going to perform this logic. It's basically storing the location past the next location to here. So we are getting this update home tab redirect works. All right. So you can see there's a next here. And this is how it works. And something you may notice in this airport detail, the URL is not changing. All right. But the other tab, so this is not tab over. The other tab is changing to everything. So the other tab is changing based on the ID, or maybe for this ID, did I just miss out? Let me go back a little bit. All right. So in this route class, we have this right journal routes that's accepting the ID. So as you see, this is the ID of this journal. Otherwise, if there's no ID, meaning is we are getting this ad, then we are going this empty page because we have a now entry. Otherwise, we are passing the ID, then we are getting this journal with the ID, so we can get the state or like this way. And yeah, something that I mentioned just now is the airport detail does not change the URL. So let's go with this step 3. Before that, let me go back one step. Let's go to current import page in the current import. This recent import. All right, we can see just now we introduced about Navigator 1.0, right? So this is how Navigator 1.0 does. When you on tab, you are pushing the page to airport detail. So this is how it works. So this is Navigator 1.0. And oh yeah, something about the Go router I also forgot to mention about. And we can move this. All right. So this for this button. At first we have this. Let's go back a little bit. Sorry about that. I forgot to introduce this. All right. So at first we are pushing our page like this way, pushing this with this material page function, a simple straightforward function. But then with the Go router implemented, what you just need to do is once the goal router implemented, you can just compress all your lines to just this one line, context.go with the route. So this is provided by the Go router. So Go router makes your life simple because you can see just now from this multiple lines compressed to just one line. All right. And in this app, we still have multiple. I think we still have. Go on. Back to step 2. This page. All right. So as I mentioned just now, this is still the Navigator 1.0, and when we go to the step 3, we can see we change to this the Go router method. So we are using this context.go with the route, and we providing the ID. So we're also adding a new route called app.attitude. So you can see for this app.attitude, we are accepting an ID, and for the ID, we are passing back into the page. So for now, let's do a hot restart. Oh, expected now value. Something goes wrong. Let's see. Current import page. What goes wrong? All right. I think it's because the ID issues. I need to, instead of hot restart, I need to terminate this and restart my. I think it's because the model part. No, not this one. Where's my API model? Anyway, let me try to search that. Yes, I think because of some details is missing just now, so it's actually returned me now. But for now, we can see the details page. It's getting the ID, as I mentioned just now, because we are passing the ID. So you can see this is 1 and this is 2. So we are getting this ID correctly, and it's working as expected. Yes, I think that's it for chapter 8. Yeah, I think that's it. Do you have any questions, like any code? Which part you mentioned? Do I have any questions? Or Jessica, I may pass back to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Hao Mun. Yeah, if there's no other questions, I guess we'll stop for today. Yeah, I thought it was a really great explanation. Thank you so much, Hao Mun.